What software would you like to see in your business?
There are these giant fast food type restaurants that have moved away completely from the franchise model.
Yeah. Apparently Chipotle used to franchise and then bought all the franchises back in 2006.
Yep.
Alfredo Hoot 21 says, how do I start a podcast? Anytime you want to start your business, your brand becomes one of your most important assets because, again, no matter what your product or service is, if people don't recognize it and they don't feel comfortable with it, they're not going to buy from you. Well, I guess we're live now. This is definitely different.
I told you, it changes the dynamic, doesn't it?
No, it's pretty cool. So good morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are, everybody on TikTok. This is Start It or Scrap It. This is the podcast where we take your business, your questions about opening, running, closing, anything really to do marketing with business. And we try to get you some good advice on doing so. I'm Mike Terkanian.
Let's stop with the good advice. Advice.
Advice. We get you advice.
Advice, yes.
I'm Mike Terkanian.
And I'm Gummi.
And we are here to take your questions today. So if you have any questions listening live on TikTok, by all means, put them into the comments and we'd love to get to them live on the show today. And while we're waiting for questions on TikTok, we'll head over to Reddit and we'll see what people are doing over there and answer their questions as well. People have lots of questions on Reddit about running and starting a business and such, and we'll try to get them some advice as well.
Yes.
So for those of you who watched the podcast before, number one, welcome back and thank you. I am traveling for a little while, so we have Gummi and I are in separate locations. I'm currently in Texas. Gummi's back in the studio in Pennsylvania.
You can tell it's cold here and not there.
Yeah, definitely not cold down here. No, it's like 80 degrees today. So anyway, just so if you have questions, by all means, put them into the comments, and we'd love to get to them live on the podcast today. So, Gummi, how you been, man? How was your week? I haven't seen you. It's weird. I usually see you 3 or 4 times a week.
I know, and it's going to be like this for a while, isn't it?
Well, not next week. Next week I'm back.
Yeah.
I'll be in the podcast studio next week.
Yep.
So, but it'll be like this for a little bit. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see how long. I don't know how long exactly, but
however long it takes.
Long story short for people, I'll be in Texas indefinitely for probably the next few months at least, running one of my businesses down here. So I have a partner and we're down here, and it's better if I'm here temporarily handling this. So anyway, with that said, what's been going on in the world?
I had an interesting meeting this morning.
Yeah.
I can tell you about that.
I'd love to hear it.
Someone you actually know too.
Okay.
Well, he had hired this company to run AdWords for him. And he was like not getting the results he had hoped for, like often happens with AdWords for the first couple of months, right? And then he decided to pull the plug on that in May, I think. And then I was explaining to him how advertising in one place, even though it's performance marketing, can have drastic effects in other places, right?
Yep.
And you could tell he had like an aha moment where he was like, wait a minute. When we stopped running the AdWords, our Amazon sales went down. And I'm like,
really? Ooh, what a shock.
Yeah. He's like, but we didn't change anything on Amazon. And I'm like, yeah, you probably weren't attributing any of the sales where people went to your website and then they were like, hey, let me check out Amazon and see if they have it, because, it's just easier to order on Amazon than it is to go through a website and have to put in your payment information and shipping and all that stuff.
Right.
And it's funny because he then proceeds to tell me that's exactly what he does. And I'm like, you're definitely not alone, right? A lot of people will find a product, find, something they like, but then go to Amazon or Walmart or any app that they have and just type it in and order it from there. Like I don't order from independent websites nearly enough, right? Like my preference is if I find a product and I do a quick search on Amazon, if they have it there, I order it there, which I really shouldn't be doing because Amazon takes a huge cut out of
Yeah.
like them. It's the convenience for me as a consumer,
So
right?
so for me, yeah, it's interesting. Even if the price, and I hate to say this, but even if the price is a little bit more on Amazon, sometimes I'll still order from Amazon for two big reasons. Number one, I know it's going to show up in a day or two.
Mm-hmm.
I sometimes you don't know with these off-brand places if it's going to be a day or two or if it's going to be a week. You have no idea
Yep.
sometimes. And secondly, if there's an issue, I know Amazon's going to handle it. I can take it
Yep.
to Whole Foods or whatever, or
Correct.
Amazon Fresh and return it, no problem. Other places, they're going to want shipping fees and refund fees and restocking fees and RMA
Mm-hmm.
numbers sometimes, and I don't want to deal with any of that.
Yep. I told him that's the big reason I do it is the return policy.
Yeah. So
It's
it's a
like
shame,
I
but
know then I just have to deal with Amazon and Amazon will deal with them, right?
yeah, it really is a shame, but it's
I
what it
actually
is, I guess.
I remember what the last like independent website was that I ordered from.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was
I mean, I do every once in a while.
Arizona's.
Oh, jeez.
I order directly on their website. So I get these.
You're already starting. Not even 5 minutes in, and you're already
So
starting.
I get these Arnold Palmers directly from the Arizona Iced Tea website. It's fantastic. It arrives in a couple of days. And let me tell you, nothing gets a podcast started like a nice Arnold Palmer.
Oh, really? Gubby, are they a sponsor to this podcast?
I don't think so. I was just telling Ethan. I asked Ethan if there was a box here of Arnold Palmer's waiting for me, and there was not. So
so they're not a sponsor to the podcast.
They're not
you
a
just
sponsor.
Really
No.
like their tea. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, you really like their tea. Unbelievable. So I mean, I every once in a while I order from a non-Amazon website. Like I needed a special part that Amazon wasn't going to carry, something like that. One thing I do is so I don't know if a lot of people probably don't know this. So I'm a DJ as well, and I don't order my electronics from Amazon. I actually prefer to get them from like a either directly from the manufacturer. Sometimes you can do that, or from an electronic store, like online, of course. Sometimes you get better deals, but the other thing is if you package things together, a lot of times you'll get way better pricing too. Something that you wouldn't necessarily get on Amazon. So I bought a controller not too long ago, packaged that with some wires and a sampler speaker, and I was able to get actually a significantly better price on that. So it all depends on what you're getting, where you're trying to buy at. So. All right, so a reminder for those of you on TikTok watching this live, welcome, and feel free to put your questions about any of your business-related questions into the comments, and we'd love to get to those and get you some advice live on the show today. In the meantime, we are going to head over. Oh no, we're not. We have a question. This is from Alfredo Hoot 21 says, how do I start a podcast? Obviously, I can start recording, but how do I build a brand? Well, those are two very different questions.
Correct.
So I'll start with the podcast part. You can handle the branding part. How about that? Okay. All right. So the podcast, I mean, you said it, you can start recording, but what you want to do is you want to make sure you have some content, like a format, not a format, but like what you want to talk about, right? And it could be different every day. It doesn't have to be the same thing, I guess. You can talk about really anything you want. One of the things that I see popping up more and more, and even Gary Vee said that people want to start seeing other people talk about their journeys in life, things that they're doing, like trying to learn the piano, or I'm starting to play golf, and and they want to see your progression through it, stuff like that. That can be a podcast. Podcast could be about something that you have expertise in, something that you really enjoy, something you want to get to really enjoy. So podcasts can be a variety of different things. So as you can see, this podcast is a Q&A podcast. People ask questions. We try to answer them specifically around the topic of business. So it all depends on what you're trying to do. You don't need a lot of fancy equipment. Heck, we don't have fancy equipment at all.
No, I was just laughing. So the guy that I met with this morning, part of what we're getting him to do is start a podcast and start doing social media content, right? So
right.
we want his podcast literally to be 10 or 15 minutes 3 times a week, focused on health in general, right? Like nothing about his product, none of that, just because he's an avid reader on health information, which also happens to be what he sells, right?
Yep.
He sells supplements. So making a podcast on healthy choices, healthy living, research that's coming out is like a no-brainer. And I showed him, I had this setup because we're doing a new setup today. I literally popped my trunk, pointed to I had like a bag and a stand. And I was like, that's a podcast studio right there. I can set that up anywhere. I just need a table and that's it.
Literally
right?
Anywhere. Yeah. I mean, I'm in a hotel room right now, hence the crazy backdrop curtain covering the door.
The bigger thing is understand who you're making the podcast for. Like, who's your target audience? Who are you trying to reach? Who are you talking to? Because that's step one of a podcast. That's step one of building a brand. Really understand your audience and your demographic, right? That's the big one.
Yeah.
How do you build a brand then? Exposure.
Yep, there you go.
Exposure is how you build a brand, right? You get out there and you got to understand that a brand is more than just a logo or something like that, right? A brand is everything about it. Like the fact that we decided to record this like we're doing now is now part of our brand, right? Like before it was always the two of us in studio. Well, we've now just changed our brand standards by saying, hey, do you know what? I don't care where we are in the world. We're going to record this on a Wednesday, period, right? And then how you talk. That's part of your brand. Of course, the topics, all those things. But then in order to get brand recognition, that's 99% exposure. That's just getting out there.
Yeah. And the other thing is when you start a podcast, and Gummi and I have talked about this before. I don't know if we've done it so much on the podcast, but we definitely talk about it a lot off the podcast. What's the number of podcasts that most people don't get past? Other than number one, of course.
I think like you're in the top like 10% of podcasts if you record 4 or more.
Yeah, I thought it was 4. It's crazy. A lot of people start podcasts. Cool, great, and then they lose interest after 2 or 3 because they don't have 1 million followers.
Correct.
It can take years. It can take years to get 1,000 followers. You know what I mean? Yeah, any kind of following, really.
Yep.
So it's possible to go viral overnight, but for the most part, it's going to take a while before you start getting a serious following.
It's very rare that something goes absolutely from nothing to huge in a matter of weeks, right? At a minimum, I've seen it happen on TikTok where I followed them, they had 700 followers, and within like 3 months, they were at 180,000.
Yeah.
Right. But he found a very, very, very niche type content that he makes, and people absolutely loved it and gobbled it up. Right.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is, he's doing it to sell a product, but he does not mention the product in any of his videos, doesn't even show it. You wouldn't know that he sells a product unless you actually click on his profile and look at his links.
Yeah. And so, I mean, and it's Alfredo, it's good that you asked that question, about starting the podcast and building the brand, because they absolutely go hand in hand. No question about it. And that's true for any business, really. Anytime you want to start your business, your brand becomes one of your most important assets, because again, no matter what your product or service is, if people don't recognize it and they don't feel comfortable with it, they're not going to buy from you. And that's the whole purpose of the brand. The purpose, it's to make people feel comfortable and recognize your service or product. When they see that brand, they know that they're buying something of quality. So it's good that you asked that question. Now, he followed up with, how did you design your logo? So in this particular case, I have I have years of marketing experience prior to starting my law practice. So I've been doing logo design and stuff like that for a long time. I was never really good at it, but I was okay at it. I think I did a decent job with this one. So Gumby's looking at it like, I don't know. So
I
this is
feel
just
like
something
that
I did
Jimmy.
one day.
I feel like that Jim Carrey moment from Liar Liar. Like, it was okay.
Exactly. So, but yeah, you can. There's a variety of ways of doing logos these days. Obviously, you can try it yourself. You can hire a designer. AI is okay at designing logos. AI is actually
So
pretty good at helping you get to an idea for your logo.
correct. It's great for creating concepts,
Yeah,
right? So once you have a concept, because a lot of times that's what takes the longest. It's getting into the right ballpark of style of logos. Once you're into the style that you like, it's a lot easier for a designer to then actually do a logo that you're probably going to like a lot. But a lot of times you think you want something, and then when you see it, it's like, yeah, no, no. But AI is great at getting you into the style ballpark.
yeah, exactly. So, Alfredo, I hope that answers your question. You're more than welcome to ask any more questions if you'd like, and I guess we'll go on to Reddit for the time being until some. Again, if you're on TikTok, listen to live. You're welcome to put your questions into the comments, and we'd love to get to them live on the podcast today. So we are over in the business ideas subreddit. This is from electronic-lock7842, who says, any feedback on my private movie theater idea? Imagine instead of, it's like a book. Imagine instead of having to go watch a movie in theaters with 100 different strangers watching on a 50-foot screen, instead you can pay a little more to go watch the same movie in a theater building filled with, let's say, 50 different private rooms and a 10-foot by 10-foot screen in a private room that seats about 5 people max. Is that something any of you guys would be interested in instead of the traditional way? Okay, so number one, I think I've seen this before, but let's say I haven't. Let's say if this doesn't exist. Yeah, that'd be kind of cool, right? Go on a date and you want to take someone to a movie and have a little private room. That's kind of cool. Or you want to get a couple of friends together and you want to go see the new Marvel movie or something like that. Yeah, sure, why not? That'd be kind of neat. The problem is going to be. Every time you display that movie on a screen, it's a licensing fee. And
Mm-hmm.
so those fees are going to go up quite significantly. I've never worked in the theater. I don't know too much about the business, but if I understand and remember copyright law correctly, the number of people in the theater doesn't matter as much as the viewing of the screen itself. So every time you have a projector showing a movie, that's going to have its own license fee, as opposed to, so if you have 100 people in the theater, you're going to wind up paying more. If you have 10 rooms of 10, you're going to pay significantly more money for the licensing fees. So that's one of the things you're going to have to consider. Secondly is that's going to be a lot of equipment. I mean, you're talking about surround sound, IMAX, things like that. You're going to need a lot of equipment. That's going to get real expensive real fast. One room with IMAX is going to be costly on its own. 10 rooms with IMAX for the same number of people, that's going to cost you a fortune. There's going to be a lot of money involved there. So I don't know if I don't know if paying a little bit more is right. It's probably going to be paying double or triple in order to make that work.
Right. And you got to remember that movie theaters make the majority of their money on the concessions, not on the movie itself.
Well, the theater does.
Yeah.
Right. But you still have to pay those licensing fees.
Correct. But he was asked, but that's part of what he has to take into the equation is all the concessions and all that stuff. Now you got to get all that equipment as well. You got to still have that staffed. The cool thing is you can make it really easy to stagger it, right? So like now if let's say you, me, and 3 other guys go, the break for our movie could be at a different time than the break for the next one. So like there would never be a line for concessions. There's a lot of cool stuff that comes with this idea that would make the movie going experience way better.
Yeah.
Right. Like
private service. I love the private service idea.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, do you remember the dine-in theaters?
Mm-hmm.
Like I would look at even taking it to that next level and have dine-in service where I can go get a private viewing. I get none of the commercials ahead of it. I can order my food, right? And it's just me and the family. So like nobody cares if we're a little noisy. Like I don't know. I might actually start going back to the movie theaters again if this was the case. Like
Yeah,
I've stopped going other than just for like the blockbusters, right? Like
yep.
the Marvels, the Avatars, the like the really big ones. Like I have to I'm probably going to have to go this weekend because my daughter is obsessed with Wicked.
Ah,
And the second one is coming out this weekend. I'm waiting for
yeah,
someone
but
I know to
that's going to have some good good
Mhm,
visual effects that's probably
mhm.
worth seeing on the big screen. But I think the days of going to the theater for a story are over.
Yeah.
For like story based movies as opposed to movies with like really good special effects and
Yeah,
visual
you're
effects.
going for the visual and the sound, right? Like you
Right,
want to feel your chair shake when that
right,
building falls down, right? Like
exactly.
that's why we go.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the equipment that he chooses to use or set up in these rooms is going to be key.
Yeah, exactly. It could get expensive, but then again, you also don't need 100-person theater size speaker. You can have a
Correct.
much smaller speaker system, so maybe the cost gets offset a little bit. So I mean, yeah, I think it's an interesting idea. I mean, if I had one in my area, yeah, I'd probably use that. I'd probably use that
The
more than I would
the
use
cool
the large theater.
the cool thing is you can test this on a small scale too. You don't have to start
Yeah,
with 10. You could start with 4,
right.
right? Start with 3.
Yeah,
So,
you could, yeah, and you could take an existing room, existing theater room, break it down, put up some walls, and have
hell,
four or
you
five
could
different.
but
You do an
here's
office building.
yeah, I was going to say you could do a shopping center,
Yeah,
right? As long as you properly sound insulate the rooms, you could put 3 or 4 in one of those strip malls and be good.
yeah. It's almost
It
like
would also
private. Yeah, private showing of the movie. Yeah, why not?
yeah, now you don't need these giant buildings anymore, right? Like the movie theaters because they're giant and obviously they're not supporting themselves because how many movie theaters are there now compared to what there was 20 years ago,
Right. Yeah, a
right?
lot of them are going out of business. A
So
lot of them.
you're finding that hybrid, you're finding that sweet spot between like it's bigger than my home theater, but it's not quite a movie theater, right? So
Right.
like, yeah,
No,
yeah,
so
I
interesting
kind of
idea.
like this idea.
Yeah, it's interesting. Again, it'll definitely have some good upfront costs, but I don't think it's anything that's insurmountable. So, yeah, I think it's interesting. Electronic Lock, good luck to you. You're welcome to leave us some comments and if you have any follow ups on that. But yeah, I think it's a pretty interesting idea. All right, we have another question on TikTok. This is from Kurt Bob. Kurt Bobide? Well, sure, why not? We'll go with that. Kurt Bobide. I have a dream of developing. Well, I can't pronounce it. Sorry. I have a dream of developing a fast food brand that can compete with McDonald's, with the McDonald's of the world, but I have no clue where or how to start. So you want to compete with a business that's been around for 70 years? Got it. And there's nothing wrong with that.
No,
Listen.
no.
Okay, number one, let me say this. This is true throughout history and will always be true throughout history. Empires always fall. Always. Okay. There will be a time where McDonald's will have to go out of business. It's going to happen at some point. It might not be for another 50 years, but at some point they're going to go out of business. At some point, Google will not be the number one search engine any longer, right? At some point, well, you see where I'm going with this, right? But just
Mhm.
think of it like this. Sears, the department store Sears, was the king of shopping for
Oh yeah.
100 years in this country. The king. There's no store better than Sears as far as going shopping. You had everything you needed there, and in about a decade, it went away. Took less than a decade for
Yep.
Sears to basically go out of business. So at some point, and some people say, "Oh, it's you're not going to compete with McDonald's." You know what? You might be able to if you find the right thing.
Oh yeah.
So
Well, so as far as how do you start, understand that you need a niche, right? So, like, if someone would have asked me years ago if I ever thought Chick-fil-A was going to get as big as they are,
Yeah.
I would have probably told you no. Same thing with Chipotle, right? But they found a niche market. They found something that was trendy, tasty. Like, I'm not a huge fan of fried chicken, but my kids love Chick-fil-A. I actually went this summer was the first time I ever went to Chick-fil-A.
Okay.
And I can understand why people like it. Like, it's decent food. Their service is awesome. Like, there's the service at Chick-fil-A for being a fast food place is just phenomenal, right? Chipotle, I like their food. So any of these, what's the one with the Chinese food that started in California? That's
Panda
like,
Express.
yeah, right. So first of all, find a food that is easy to cook and keep within a certain standard, right? Um, and it can be anything. It just like the place that just started popping up around here, Honey Grow, that
Yes.
just they do salads and noodles, and that's
Yep.
all they do, right?
Yep.
And they're popping up all over the place. They were started, I think, down in Philly by a guy down there while
Hmm.
he was in college because he wanted food, like it was some diet restrictions that he had, right? So I think all their noodles are made with egg whites only. Really, anything that is fast food, anything that is on that level, and because of my culinary background, like find stuff that's easy to replicate and set up processes for. Like, what
Yep.
makes franchises so great is the fact that whatever it is that they do, whatever it is that they serve, regardless of what it is, they are extremely well documented. They have processes for everything so that someone else can just come in, read the owner's manual, so to speak, and then just
Right.
start, right? Um, and then pick your locations wisely. Like, the first location has to be in a spot that's relatively prominent, has to start making money pretty quickly because that's going to be the demo store, right? Or your second store might be the demo store, but you need to figure out how to basically document everything. And that's with any franchise, whether it's food, whatever it is. Um, and then marketing, branding, you got to get really good at that and realize that you're not getting into the fast food business per se. You're probably getting into the people management business,
Right.
right? So that's going to be the core of what you need to do is like McDonald's was smart. They have that college program, right? Like that if you work at a McDonald's, I think they have like tuition reimbursement and stuff while you're working there. It's a
Yep.
great way to keep um, it's a great way to keep people, because nobody takes a job at McDonald's thinking they're going to retire from there, right? Or
Right.
most people
Exactly.
don't. Managers, so on and so forth, yes. But like the person flipping the burgers is not looking at this going, oh, this is what I want to do as a career.
Right. So you mentioned the franchising earlier. I think that's
Mhm.
probably one of the biggest things as well. And I mean, in my opinion, it's one of the things that pushed McDonald's through the roof was the opportunity to franchise and go around the country. So if this is something that someone's looking to do, start a fast food brand. I mean, you have to consider not even consider. You have to initially plan for the franchising model. That's what's going to
Mhm.
have to be. You're not going to be able to do this
So,
yourself.
so that has actually become an interesting argument lately because we
Really.
look at places like Chipotle and Panda Express, right? And there's a guy that talks about this a lot, and he goes, if you can franchise it and they run as franchises, why can't you own all the locations? Right?
Hmm.
Which is kind of an interesting concept because there's no reason you couldn't. So the question becomes how many franchises, like, do you need the franchising route, or can you go like the more like the licensing route, possibly with the way Chick-fil-A does it, where the owner only owns a portion of the location? Like there's all these models lately that have been tested that I'm not I'm not against them. Like I think old school franchising, the way we know it and it's always been done, is great. But there's a bunch of other options out there now that seem like they're pretty legit.
Okay, so the point, the one of the beauties of franchising, maybe the licensing model is a different way to go, but the beauty of franchising is that it spreads the risk around. Number one, right? It's not
Yeah.
all your money that you have to put into it. Number
Correct.
two is when someone is an owner in the business, they're going to put their heart and soul, generally speaking, into that business, as opposed to you hiring somebody and that person is going to put as much of their heart and soul into it as they need to collect their paycheck, right? It's a big difference in most cases. That's not everybody, but that's most people. So now, I guess you could get the same effect from a licensing model as opposed to franchising. You know, a licensing model does help spread the risk around a little bit because someone else is putting their money into it in order to have the license. But again, I've always felt like the person that has a large stake in the business will put more effort into making sure that business succeeds than someone who's just collecting a check every once in a while.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the only reason why I said franchise.
Yeah, and you know I'm a huge proponent of franchises, right?
Oh yeah.
But like I said, looking at Panda Express, looking at Chick-fil-A has made me question the whole franchising model for restaurants.
So what do they do?
So Chick-fil-A, they
Why not
recruit.
Chick-fil-A? Yeah, good.
Yeah, Chick-fil-A, Panda Express just owns their locations. Every single Panda Express is owned by the same family.
Yeah,
right?
but was it a family or was it a corporation? I thought there was like a PepsiCo or something behind them.
And now it is a PepsiCo.
Okay.
Right? But it used to be just them. It was just it was
okay.
a family owned. They owned all the locations. You know, they trained their managers. They paid their store managers really well. Like the turnover was extremely low. So they found a different model that worked. Is instead of selling a franchise, just put a lot of effort into hiring really good people, pay them well, and they will run the locations, right?
Okay.
Now they're not spreading the risk, but they're not spreading the reward either, right? So yeah, I don't know. I don't know that franchising is always.
Well, I would say this: you have to have deep pockets to do it the other way. To not do it with franchise, you have to have deep pockets.
Yeah, or take a lot of time to do it, right? Like if you can open one location and it's profitable, you can open the second one and the third one, and now like because you're not going to open 200 in the same year, right?
Right.
You could be opening 1 or 2 a year in the first couple of years.
But think about it. At some point, though, you're not going to be able to manage 40 locations, 20 locations. You're just not by yourself. You're just not going to be able to. You're going to need a management team.
You're not going to do any of this. Like if you buy a Dunkin' Donuts, you have to buy 3 locations, right?
Right.
You're not going to be at every store every day.
Right.
Yourself. So like, once again, this has made me watching Panda Express and watching Chick-fil-A and some of these other ones. Now I'm like, why don't they just, because McDonald's is no longer in the hamburger business. They're no longer they're in the real estate business, right?
Yep.
Burger King, still in the franchising business, like all of those. And same thing, Chipotle doesn't have franchises either, right?
I don't know.
I think they're all corporately owned.
If only there were a way to find out.
I know. Is there a Google thing? Do you have something that's Google-like that you can use?
Chipotle does not operate as a franchise within the United States. It is a company-owned model.
Yes. So like there are these giant fast food type restaurants that have moved away completely from the franchise model.
Yeah. Apparently Chipotle used to franchise and then bought all the franchises back in 2006.
Yep.
So interesting.
Yeah,
All right.
it's
So I mean, look. So Kurt Bodbid, Bide, whatever it is. Kurt. Yeah, there's a bunch of different ways to do it. I would just say at least look into the franchising model, look into the
mhm.
licensing model, look into the company-owned model. There's a variety of ways you can do it. I would say for your first, 5, 6 locations, yeah, absolutely do it yourself. There's no need to
Yeah.
franchise at that point. But it's going to take a lot of money. It's going to take a lot of branding. You're going to have to overcome 70 years of branding in order to beat out
Well,
something like a
yeah,
McDonald's.
I mean, they've been around for 70 years, right? So
Yeah,
let's say you're looking to get there in 70 years. It's reasonable as long as, like, what made McDonald's really, really, really unique is there was a lot of stuff that they didn't force the franchisee to buy certain things, right?
right.
So, like, when they did their new cash registers, they didn't force the franchisees to get those cash registers. This is going back like 20 years, right? What they did was they went out, they found a company and built the absolute best cash register they could get for a McDonald's, right? They could have been horrible for other people, but for a McDonald's, it was the best one that you could get. So the franchisees just bought it because it was the best one,
Yeah,
right? So, yeah, but to get started, find a food that's easy to replicate, that people will actually buy, right? Like all the obvious ones are already there. The burritos, the fried chicken. Maybe there is a new trend. Maybe it is noodles. Maybe noodles is the next new big thing, right? Like, what's that place that you like that has is it the Korean soup?
Oh no, Vietnamese pho.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
Maybe that's the next big thing. Maybe
mm,
pho is going to be the next big franchise,
could
right?
be.
Like,
Maybe I think probably more ramen noodles than pho, but yeah.
probably ramen, but once again, it's a food that's relatively easy to replicate.
Hmm.
Because, like, let's be honest, a lot of these fast food places, we don't go there for the food, right? Like, we go for the convenience,
Okay. Yeah.
right? Like, I don't know anybody that's like, oh, I'm craving a burger. Yeah, let's go to McDonald's because they have the best burgers, right? Like,
Right.
yeah, not
It's
once
in
in
and
my,
out.
yeah,
Yeah.
correct, right? They're famous for fries. Like, if you want fries, people will
Although
stop there.
I have to back up. I got to disagree with you on that for just a second.
Okay.
I do, and I can't explain why. It's got to be something from my childhood. I do occasionally crave, and the only thing that can satisfy it is a Taco Bell taco.
Well, that's kind of like, yeah.
There's nothing like it. There shouldn't be anything like it, but
There
there's
shouldn't be
nothing like
anything
it.
like it, right? But you're not
Every once in a while, I have to have a Taco Bell taco.
correct. But once again, we don't sit and say, "Hey, I'm really craving tacos tonight. Like really
Right.
good tacos. Let's go to
Yeah.
Taco Bell." Right? Like you crave the Taco Bell style taco.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? I get it. So, yeah, it's fast food is all about convenience, structure, and a big thing about it is that a McDonald's burger in New York, you're getting the exact same thing in Missouri, right?
Yeah,
So for people, like, it's a safety thing as well for
it
people that,
is.
like, you know what you're getting, right? But then you go to Europe and go to a McDonald's and it's a completely different food.
Yeah, entirely. So, all right, Kurt, I hope that answers your question. I hope it gives you at least the start of what to think about. You're more than welcome to put any follow ups into the comments. We do have a comment from OZM Hey Mother, who we see all the time. Hello, welcome
Oh,
back.
hey.
She says she likes the new setup and she thinks it's awesome. So thank you, OZM.
Yeah.
Good to hear from you. All right, so while we wait for any more questions on TikTok, we are back into the business ideas subreddit where Moldy Cheez-Its says, "What is your go-to hook when doing outreach? Everyone knows the first thing you say to a potential client needs to be perfect. Otherwise, it will be much harder to get the person to listen at all. Any tips for new salespeople / business owners?" I mean,
This is
if
a
I'm,
sales question.
it is a sales question. I mean, if you're going to sell something to somebody, I guess there's a couple of things. Number one, you have to identify a problem they're having, and you have to identify some type of urgency for
Mm-hmm.
them to solve that problem, and that you have the solution to their problem right here and now. Right. That's the well,
Yeah.
that's the first thing that comes to mind
So
whenever I'm
so
talking to a new client.
if I go back to basics, because back in 2003, 4, when I started working for the website design company, that was my job, was literally cold calling, right?
Mhm.
And it's my least favorite thing in the world to do.
Yeah.
I don't do it anymore. I haven't cold called anybody since 2004. But the big thing for me, which is kind of sad because I was actually good at it, I was the top salesperson at the time. The big thing for me is I didn't necessarily feel like I needed that perfect opening line every time, because when someone answers the phone, you can kind of get a sense of how happy are they to pick up that phone, right?
Right.
So my thing was always, can I just get them talking, right? Because if I can't even get the conversation going, I have no chance of explaining to them why I called, right? So I would always start with basic questions like, hey, just confirming, is this the business? Is this, how long have you been in business? Like I would start with questions, right? But it was a different time because like my first cold calls were like, hey, have you heard of this thing called the internet? People put websites on the internet and then other people can find you. So like I spent half my time educating people about what the internet was,
Mhm.
right? And what websites were. So like they were always intrigued, didn't mean they were ready to buy, but they were
Right.
always intrigued because it was something new, right? So that made my cold calling easier. But I mean, there are companies that test this. There's research on this, um, and that's really the best way to figure out what works for you. Is A, it's what you say, and B, it's how you say it. Right? If you call someone, you're like, "Hey, is this like?" No, you're not going to get a ton
Yeah, you
of
got to be
feedback, right?
excited
Like
about it so that they can
uh,
get excited about
it
it.
it it at least seemed like you're happy to make the call, right? Be like, hey, it's Gummy from Red Knight. I just wanted to see, like, have you thought about growing your business? I see you've had the same location for 15 years, and I've never seen a second one.
Yeah, right. That's true. Yeah, that's a great point though. So when you are making that call and you're talking to people, they're gonna get a sense right away of whether or not, number one, you have any type of confidence in this product or service just by
Mhm.
the call itself. Like you said, it's, hey, this is Bob calling from so and so company,
Right.
blah blah blah. Oh yeah, Bob, please tell me more. That
Yeah,
sounds so
exactly.
exciting. As opposed to, hey, my name is Bob. I know that as a business owner, you're having this
Mhm.
problem. We have a product that might be able to help with that. That's a little more engaging, a little more. Can I just have
Yeah,
2 minutes
I
of your
even
time?
so I never tried to sell my product without knowing whether or not it was something they might actually need. So
Oh,
for me,
sure,
it was always ask questions to find out if they have the problem. If
right,
they have the problem, I'm going to present the solution. Otherwise, I'm just going to thank them for the conversation and they'll never know why I called them, right?
yeah.
Because I would do that and I would be like, "Oh, okay, so you know, I I guess you're not really gonna need us, so I'm not even gonna." And people would be like, "What? What? What were you? Why did you call?" Right
Yeah,
now you're asking me to pitch you,
right.
right?
Which is great.
So
That's a great way to do it. No, I like that because if they're
yeah.
now engaged and interested, that makes a lot more sense.
Well, now they got curious, right? Like, wait, then why did you call me? Like, did you just call me to ask me questions? Yeah, I called to find out if you had this problem. Well,
Yeah,
okay. Can you tell me what the product is?
right.
Sure.
So, Yeah, I mean, I guess there's really not too much more to say on that for Moldy Cheese It. If there are any sales, if we got who do we have that sales that we want to bring on the show one day? We want
Joe Cover.
Joe Cover. Yeah, we get to bring Joe
Oh yeah,
back. Absolutely.
He was a sales guy for the creepiest company out there.
Oh yeah, I
Yeah.
don't know this story.
No,
Tell
I
me just a
think
little bit about it. I want
I
him to
think
tell me, but tell me a
I
little
think
bit.
he started with Yellow Pages.
Oh, that's a creepy company.
But their sales tactics are like, because they are huge in on the cold calls and cold visits
Oh yeah.
and like, yeah, their training was really good. And that's why Joe is a great salesperson today, is he got some world-class training, I think from, I want to say it was Yellow Pages.
Okay. Well, we'll have to bring him on the show and ask him about that. He was on the show last year. We got to bring him back.
Oh
So.
yeah, he still does cold visits. Like he'll walk into places, he'll cold call. He still
Yeah.
does it to this day. And I'm like, do you know what, Joe? More power to you. Because I
No
can't
kidding.
do it.
All right, so Multi Cheese, I hope that helps. Feel free to leave some questions or comments, and we'll try to get you some more advice if needed. Again, for those of you on TikTok, if you're watching live, hello, and you are more than welcome to leave a question in the comments, and we can answer your questions about anything business related, running a business, marketing a business, sales, apparently.
I think TikTok is a little suspicious of us because you're logged in from a new location. So we're not getting the type of reach we normally get.
Oh, is that what it is?
Yeah, that would be my guess. Yeah. You're now logged in a different geographical area. So now they're having to reconfigure who to show it to.
Okay, so TikTok algorithm, listen closely.
Yeah.
I'm temporarily down here in Texas. We'll be doing this next week I'll be back in Philly. But
ultimately, this might end up being good because we could potentially get a larger audience once you start being down there more.
Yeah.
Because I'm logged in Pennsylvania, you're going to be logged in Texas.
Right.
So we might get a larger demographic footprint.
Do I have to start like maybe wearing a cowboy hat or something, and it'll know that I'm somewhere else?
You will be wearing a cowboy hat.
I don't mean the Dallas Cowboys. I mean,
I know,
the 10-gallon hat or something.
I know what you're talking about. You are going to have to do it for one episode just so we get the full effect. Cowboy boots, whole 9 yards.
Spurs? I'm not wearing Spurs.
No, you don't need Spurs.
Okay, good.
I'm okay without Spurs, but
I'll do the string tie. What are they called?
Yes,
those
strings with a metal slider thing. Yeah,
we'll get one of those going too.
You are doing that before your time is up in Texas.
I love it. All right, let's see. Let's move on. Let's no. Okay. So this is on again the business subreddit. This is NMA 1236766 who says, "What software would you like to see in your business? I'm a software developer and can develop any app or software you can imagine. What app or software would you like to have for your business?" Well, that's an easy one, right? It's very obvious. No, it's such a broad question, man. That's the wrong question to be asking. It shouldn't go out and just say to people, "Hey, what software do you need?" Because you know what? A lot of times people don't even know what software they need. The right question to be asking, and we say this all the time, is what problems are you facing? What keeps you up at night? What keeps you from doing your job on a regular basis, right?
Yep.
What if you could do X to make your business more efficient, make more money, go faster, etc., keep your employees more happy? What would it be? Whatever the answer to any one of those questions are. And then you go as a software developer and try to automate that as much as possible. That's really the question you should be asking, not what type of software do you want, but what problems are you having? And then you as the software developer try to solve those problems with automation.
Yeah, and that's I was actually talking to a golf instructor yesterday. And I didn't realize that one of their big problems that they have, right? And I'm sure many solopreneurs or like chiropractors, PTs that are just by themselves have the same problem. He's like, a lot of times he's like, I have a phone number that's like a tracking phone number, and it's used by his scheduling system to send out like reminders. You have your lesson with John Flint is tomorrow at 11, right?
Yep.
And I asked him, like, how often do people text back to that number? And he's like, I don't know that they can. I'm like, okay, then what number do they text? And they're like, oh, then they text the number is the Google business phone that I have. And I'm like, so when do you see those? He's like, oh, they come through as emails. And I'm like, so like if I text you, hey, I'm running 10 minutes late for my lesson, and I text it to the business one, when do you see it? And he's like, I don't see it until I sit down, log into my email, and go through my emails.
Right.
And I'm like, okay. So it's creating a problem for him because he might be trying to rush someone out the door. Someone's going to show up 10 minutes late. He could have been nice and given the other person an extra 5 minutes without being a concern. And I'm like, so for you, the key thing is getting some kind of CRM system that communicates important information to you instantly, but also gets back to like the admin side. He's like, because he's like, I get a ton of messages and texts that are like, hey, I forgot when my appointment is, right? That's now something he has to do. If he had a system that could look at when the person's appointment was and automatically text them back, it doesn't sound like a lot, but he's like, that adds up. Like, that's admin work that I have to do after hours. He's like, that's cutting into family time.
Yeah.
Right. So, like, by talking to people, you find out what problems they have, and then, yeah, develop a software that solves very specific problems for someone. Because if one business is having it, other businesses probably are as well.
Yeah, I agree. So that's another way to approach it, is to look and see what problems other people are having. And I mean, again, you can just go online a lot of times. Like when we go into these
Oh, yeah.
subreddits and such, we go and look to see what problems people are having, or what questions people have about their business, and we try to
Mm-hmm.
offer them solutions. Doesn't mean that you couldn't go online and see what problems people are having and try to find software solutions for them, or try to
Yeah.
build a solution that's software based. Go on and see, okay, yeah, if I found 10 people having the same problem, boom, there's your software platform right there.
Yep.
So that's a way to approach it. So, and anime, I hope that helps. Again, feel free to leave comments in our feed, and hopefully we've given you some good advice there. All right, we only got about 5 minutes left, Gummy. Wow, it's going
I
pretty quick.
know.
You said you said this to take a lot longer. It's not taking a lot longer at all. But we do have a question from OCM Hey Mother. She says, "Do you think ESG is a trend? Are companies using it to market themselves?" So, for those of you unfamiliar, ESG is environmental, social, and governance practices in business in general. Basically, it's like more conscious, more self aware of issues, societal issues, things like that. And hold on, I got to do this. And whether or not companies are using that to promote themselves, to they're building products that are more environmentally friendly or more socially friendly, or are just being socially aware, things like that. So I'll let Gubby answer the question a little bit more, but I'll start. Well, let me start with this. My concern with ESG is that it gets political, and when you get too political, you tend to dismay one side versus the other, and it's really a shame that it's come down to that. But it's one side versus
But
the other in many cases.
there's a fine line though, right?
There
Because
is,
if you look at companies like Patagonia, right? They have very successfully navigated that fine line where they're not really political, but they put a huge, like, they market that they are environmentally conscious, right? That they do it, but their target market is also the people that are out in nature, that keeping nature clean matters to,
yeah,
right? So it's super client dependent, and it's really dependent on what type of product you sell. Like,
yeah,
let's as an example, let's take Tesla, right? Or any electric car manufacturer. could they market that they're environmentally friendly and they're doing it because of the environment and they want to help, make a greener planet? They could.
Mhm.
Is it a message that would stick for people? I don't know. I don't remember Tesla ever doing that, or that being any of the campaigns that VW or any of them ran, that they were doing it for environmental reasons, right? And then you got to ask yourself, well, if these guys aren't marketing on that message, is it because it's hard? Because once again, it can get very political really quick. If you step on the wrong side of the line in either direction. But yeah, there are companies that use it as a foundation for the rest of their messaging and branding, but I don't think they make it like the core of it, so to speak.
Right. Yeah, and I think it definitely has its uses. I do like how certain societal issues are being addressed by big companies, because big companies often have the deep pockets to get the brand, get the marketing out there, get the awareness out there, etc. So I do think that there's definitely a good use for it. I Your question, are companies using it? Yeah, absolutely. Companies are using it. They're using it quite often to market themselves. I mean, years ago, when the first mass produced electric vehicle was, that I can remember anyway, maybe there was something before this, was the Nissan Leaf. And I remember the commercial, and I went online that moment after I saw the commercial and put my deposit down. I was like one of the first people in PA to have one. Cool car at the time. Anyway,
It was,
the,
but
the commercial was a polar bear walking down from the North Pole, going through the city, and he goes and he finds a guy, and the guy's like just pulled up in his Nissan Leaf, and the polar bear gives him a big hug. Right, that was kind of cool. Right, it's definitely you're showing an environmental issue. Polar bears thanking you for using an electric vehicle. Put aside the politics of whether they're more efficient or not, or more environmentally friendly or not. Put that all aside. I thought that was kind of cool, and that's an example of an ESG commercial for a company promoting its product, right? So sometimes they have very, very positive effects.
And the weight of that type of messaging is heavily dependent on what is going on around us at the time and what people are generally conscious about.
Right.
Like plastics right now. That's a huge topic of conversation, right? Cardboard boxes are a conversation. So like Amazon did this whole thing. Now on every Amazon box, there's like, hey, this cardboard box is made with 30% less cardboard, right? Is that going to matter to some people? Yeah.
Some,
right? Is the fact that they don't plastic wrap certain things anymore going to matter to some people? Yes.
Yeah.
Are those people going to notice? Yes. Is that a selling point for them? Yes. Is it something I would message as a core message of my brand? Not unless you're really digging into it like Patagonia did.
Right.
Same thing with the sock company that donates a pair of socks.
Yeah, right. Mm-hmm.
Right? Like they market it completely on a social issue.
Yeah,
right. Like
their entire branding campaign is
correct. The most requested item in homeless shelters is socks, and they leaned into it 100%, saying if you buy a pair, we'll donate a pair.
Yeah,
right. Like,
and they're doing quite well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they were doing quite well with that. So it can, like I said, it can have very positive effects.
Yes,
I think the problem comes in when you try to get too much into the political side of things. That's when you start running into problems, because now you have people on one side or the other angry at you, leaving bad messages, leaving bad reviews, et cetera, simply because they don't agree with your political views. So and just against a piece of advice, if you're going to get into any type of ESG marketing, just keep it neutral. Keep it
So let's just be honest, right? So like with Elon Musk getting involved with politics and Tesla, we all saw the conversations that happened online, right? Like wait, why are all the environmentalists now mad at Elon when he's done more for the environment. Like it was just
No, they were just made Elon. They were made a Tesla too.
A Tesla, yeah. Like
Yeah.
so it can create this weird dynamic in the wrong environment at the wrong
Right.
time. If someone, it was just, it's weird, right? Like if you can nail it like Patagonia, like the sock company, like any of those, then absolutely you can make that the core. Unless you're going to really lean into it, would not make it a core messaging for most businesses, right?
Yeah.
And
for the sock company, it makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
Perfect sense to do that.
And I don't think it's not a fad thing right now, right? No. I think that it's something that's here to stay, right? And people have started. I had this conversation with Jim at Buckleberry, right? People have started caring more about what do you care about, right? Yep. Like the fact that, for example, I just happened to find this on his website because he never talks about it. Like they donate a portion of their profits to help women that have been trafficked and stuff, right? And I'm like, Jim, why don't you ever mention this? And he goes, because it's just something we do because it's the right thing to do. It's not something I want to make part of my messaging, but I want people to be aware that we do it, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, I get it. I'm like, I would still, make people more aware of it. Don't make it the focal point of your brand, but people should know that like you genuinely care, right? Like the company cares. You're taking company money and giving it to a really, really, really good cause, right?
People want to know about that. People would want to hear about that entire. Yeah. Now, I'm not saying that you put that on every single message that you do, but make sure that message gets out. Absolutely.
It should. Let's say you're doing videos, right? 1 out of every 50 could be a story about how, what you did on that, right? Like, so now it's what, 5% of your content or 2.5% of your content is about your social causes. But like, it also gives people insight into like, who are the people running this business? What matters to them? What do they care about? And like, helping women that have been trafficked is not a cause that is divided among anybody.
Yeah.
Right? Like, so yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, anyway, I appreciate the, first off, Ozzy, hey mother, thanks again for always being a part of our podcast. You always have some great questions. So thank you for that one. And,
I think she spends her week thinking about like, what tricky question can I ask them next week? Because
she always has great questions. She
does.
So we appreciate that. So I guess with that, man, it's our hour is up. Crazy. So, thank you everyone on TikTok for watching live. We really appreciate it. We appreciate your questions today, and everyone else watching on YouTube later on, and other podcast avenues. We appreciate you watching, and we will be back.
And the patience with the new setup.
Yeah, well, I think the new setup's working nicely. I think we're going to do this even when I'm in the studio. Maybe, we'll see. So everyone will be back here next Wednesday.
She just answered, that's true. Thank you for answering. So she
does. She thinks it. So how can I find the hardest question?
Yeah.
So we'll be back in the studio. We'll be back in the studio next Wednesday, 11:30 a.m. Eastern time. Well, 11:30 a.m. ish Eastern time.
Yes.
And be ready to take your questions again. So again, TikTok, thank you, and everybody else, have a great week. Gummy, always a pleasure to see you, man. Fist pump. Fist pump. There we go. All right. See ya.